Prater The Ballgame, Idaho Sports Talk, 208-424-9300. Be in touch with the show. Follow us on all forms of social media. If you haven't gotten notice yet, this is our video segment of the day. So we are also airing right now live on our YouTube channel in certain forms of social media. So if you haven't liked our YouTube channel, you should. We put some pretty good stuff on there sometimes. So we're happy and trying to grow our brand a little bit, Prater. But before we get into replacing JL Skinner, JP brought it to our attention over that last break. He said, where's our bacon, Max Rice? Prater, Max Rice on this show last week promised us. He got our address. We gave it to him.
He's promised us twice.
He said it's on the way.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, well.
Now, when he said last week, because I told you to send him a text, said, make sure we get our bacon. And he said it's on the way.
Yes, he did. I gave him the address to the company and everything.
And I said, how could it be on the way? The place is closed.
I was thinking he emailed one of his guys.
Well, he had some bacon in his trunk.
Make sure my radio guys get their bacon. But we have not received our bacon yet.
The second he said it was on its way, I said, BS on Max Rice. You're not making ball game and bacon a priority. And I guess he's got something else going on in his life.
Text us yes or no. The question being, should we text Max Rice right now and say, where the hell's our bacon? I mean, I get it. It's championship week and all this stuff. Should we text him? Yes or no?
Well, JP,
we're kind of kidding on this thing.
No, we're not. Because JP had some audio of him in the last update where he just said he's in Vegas goofing around for 2 days. He's got plenty of time on his hands.
He's sitting around watching a game.
Yes or no?
Make a call.
You want us to contact Max Rice and ask him where the hell our bacon is? All right, you guys, you make the call. KTIK listeners. Prater, spring football going on. We'll have interviews tomorrow. We'll talk to some coaches and players. But yesterday, we had an opportunity to talk to Kane Ioane, who's a great interview, the co-defensive coordinator, safeties coach. I love talking football with Kane.
Unbelievable.
And Alex Teubner as well. Tubes spoke with us, and we had a lot of talk about, replacing JL Skinner, who's been one of the bigger faces of this program, Prater, for about 3 years, JL. You can't replace him, can you?
No, you cannot replace him. You will not replace him. You will never replace him. And Teubner knows that. We got some audio that you're going to be able to listen to here in a minute. I think Teubner is checking every single box that he's supposed to be checking right now. And he wants to be a leader. He's got buy-in. He's all about the challenges and the motivation and the opportunities in front of him. He wants to take ownership of this team. He says he's dialed in and he's focused. He even says things like, I am a product of this university. I'm a product of this environment. And so I have to pay this environment back because of what they've made me. He totally gets it. He checks every single box that you want in a football player, regardless of the position or who he has to replace, except for one. He's a 5'11", 190-pound, not football-looking kind of dude who just doesn't fit the stereotype, but he goes out there and plays pretty darn good ball. I don't think he's ever going to go to the NFL, but maybe he can be good enough to replace JL. Is that good enough for us? Ball game.
Alex Teubner kind of reminds me of, he's a Boise State throwback. If he would have been Corey Hall or TJ Acree.
Yeah.
Brock Forsey. I mean, Brock Forsey was an NFL guy. I can exclude him from that conversation.
Not when he showed up, though.
Yeah, right? Like when Boise State, early 2000s, Dirk Cutter, Dan Hawkins era, there were a lot of dudes like Alexander Teubner flying around, making plays, getting all WAC recognition, and showing up in big games and helping build this program up to the point where it could go recruit a JL Skinner, right?
Yep.
I mean, because the athletes look different on this team now than they did 20 years ago, simply because the program has grown to the point where you can go get 3-star kids. Before, TJ Acree, a hell of a player, he probably was a no-star when he came here to play wide receiver and Hall. And I'm thinking I'm missing some other guys too, Prater, but he's kind of a throwback to those guys. So do you want that? 208-424 Bronco Nation, 9300, I should say. Call us and let us know. You can get in on this too, but I don't
want a throwback just because he's a throwback, though.
I think some people are thinking that's how this program was built. We've flourished with those guys, flourished with them. Why can't we continue to flourish with Alexander Teubner, who's played well whenever we've asked him to, and now we get to the point where, okay, you got to replace JL Skinner. And Mike Prater's looking there, sitting over there shaking his head saying, dude, and you called him an A-plus backup. Does that translate into an A- starter, or does that translate into a C or C- starter, right? That's where I think you're scared on this.
I think he's going to be good, but I want great, especially out of this position. Boise State just sent 2 safeties to the National Football League. So my expectations are a little off the charts and a little skewed right now. Sorry, Alex Teubner, but that's just how it is. You're replacing 2 NFL safeties, and you're 5. He's 6 inches shorter than JL Skinner. A half a foot.
And about 180, 185. I don't even know if he's 190.
Yeah, he says he's 200.
Looks like a regular dude. He says he's 200. Yeah, I don't know, man, but he's played well when they've needed him to.
The bowl game last year, he was Boise State's leading tackler. JL Skinner didn't play. Here comes Alex Teubner in a bowl game against North Texas, but he had a great game. He had 1 pass deflection. He had some nice tackles. He led the team in tackles. His dad was in the stands. He said it was his greatest moment as a college football player, and he's 100% inspired by that. Here, before we get to the audio, here's my issue. It's just about the physical challenges, and I have the same feelings about Alex Teubner as I do about Jace Whiting. Jace Whiting has every physical
Boise State basketball
player. He checks every single box you want in a basketball player. But when it comes to that physical mismatch, when it comes to that, okay, I got to play against San Diego State and their 6'7" point guard who came from Compton and can just whizzle a basketball around like crazy and do physical things that a Jace Whiting can't. I'll take Jace Whiting as a basketball player every day. So maybe I'm talking myself into taking Alex Teubner as a football player, but that doesn't mean I'm not going into the season with just a little bit of a concern.
Let's hear from Alex Teubner. He talked with the media yesterday, and when he was asked about the temptation, like you're replacing JL, does that mean you have to be JL or the closest thing you can find to it? Here's what Teub said.
That was my biggest lesson. That was when I made my biggest strides, when I was, comfortable being myself. And, look at me and look at JL, I'm not going to be JL, right? And JL,
the temptation has to be there, right?
Yeah, well, JL's got a lot of great qualities, and I think, I have opportunities to step into a big role and do big things while being myself, right? So I don't necessarily think I need to be JL, but there's a lot of things I learned from JL that I want to incorporate into my game and my leadership capabilities.
Self-awareness, 2 extremely important words that every college football player needs to know and understand. Know that you are not JL Skinner. Know that, you're probably not going to get much of a look to play this game at the professional level. Certainly not an NFL combine invite or something like that. Alex Teubner, one thing he does have is self-awareness, because I guarantee you 95% of the people in the Blameyer, those kids, they all think they're going to the NFL. They all think they're going to be all Mountain West everything. They think they've been screwed over. The only reason they're at Boise State is because somebody missed on them. They should all be at Alabama. A lot of kids have that. Alexander Teubner does not, Prater. He has excellent self-awareness.
Yeah, he does. And here's what else he said in terms of about being humbled about this opportunity. He really wants to play. This is very, very important to him.
We all come here to play, right? And as much I love this place, and I love what this place stands for, but we all, every guy in that DB room, every guy on the team in general, they come here and want to get on the field, especially the blue. I mean, so yeah, it's a very humbling opportunity for me to have this opportunity in front of me, especially with kind of my path and the different turns it took for me to get here. Yeah, it's something to look forward to, but at the same time, you got to take it week by week or practice by practice even right now, because, with respect to a lot of the guys in our room, they're just trying to win a job. And, we got a lot of talent in that room. So
you mentioned you're not 6'4", 220. I mean, how much does proving that you can play this game at a high level, even though you're kind of a smaller guy, motivate you? Does that kind of put a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, I am not 6'4", 220. Absolutely right. Yeah, I think, I like to play fired up. I mean, maybe play with the chip on my shoulder is how it's perceived. I wouldn't necessarily say it's because I feel like I'm undersized. I've never walked out on the field and felt like I'm too small to do anything. Now, maybe if someone else says I'm too small to accomplish something, just brush that one off the shoulder. But, my excitement and my energy on the field isn't necessarily with the chip on my shoulder. It's just my love to play this game, the passion to play this game, and opportunity to get out there and compete for my boys.
All good things. Chips on the shoulder are wonderful if, in fact, you still make the play on 3rd and 7. I can have a bunch of guys with these big chips on their shoulder because everybody doubted them, Prater. But if they don't go out there, they don't make the play, this team doesn't win, and all of a sudden you're playing a bunch of underdogs with chips on their shoulders. And I don't think Boise State as a program necessarily wants to live by something of that moniker, like maybe it did a little bit in the past. It's big time football.
Boise State's in spring camp right now. Yesterday, we had a chance to talk to safeties coach, co-defensive coordinator Kane Ioane about this exact transition. So here's what he said he's seeing from Alexander Teubner in spring camp.
I think we saw what we could get out of Teubner in the role, in the chances that he got to step into that starting role. Whether it was New Mexico, very first conference game of last year, whether it was North Texas in the bowl game, Teubner was ready to step into that role and play that position to his utmost. And exactly what we talked about as far as being able to help quarterback the defense, be able to play all those different roles from a standpoint of the versatility, coverage, coming down in the box, playing physical in the box, and still play a big role on special teams. I thought he proved to us that he's capable of doing that, but it's still now, okay, so what, now what? Can you do it through the whole spring? Can you do it now and over the course of the summer and then through fall camp and really solidify yourself as that guy?
Again, Kane Ioane, co-defensive coordinator, talking about Teubner. And I'll talk about the safety position. Again, we're trying to replace J.L. Skinner here. Kane Ioane talked about the safety position and a lot of work to do. Not only do you lose J.L. Skinner, as Prater mentioned, you also lose Tyreek Jones, who was also at the combine last week.
No question about it. There's a void there from a leadership standpoint. There's a void there from just playing experience standpoint. But we've got guys that are anxious to step up in those roles. We've got a guy, Rodney Robinson, that started every game last year, that has a chance to really solidify himself as not only a starter again, but more importantly, as the leader of this defense. And I think Rod's really doing a great job of trying to have a major impact for us from a defensive standpoint in a lot of different ways. And understanding his role has really amped up a lot because of the guys that left the room. Alex Teubner, a guy we talked about as far as just that has started in that boundary safety role, that has played a lot for us in a lot of different ways from special teams, played a little nickel in the Wyoming game, and he's done a lot of things for us. And now is a chance for him to really solidify himself in that leadership role as well. Shea Oladipo, another guy that is anxious to really step in and solidify himself as a full-time starter and a guy that can be an impactful player for us across the board as far as within this conference.
All right, there's Kane Ioane. Prater, before we get out of here on this, just your thoughts. Do you expect Rodney Robinson, Shea Oladipo, and Alexander Teubner to be the two safeties in the nickel in some capacity?
I do. I expect that to be your starting lineup in the safeties in that Washington game. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
I don't even see any upsets. There's a couple of guys that are going to provide some key backup, and it could develop throughout the season. But Oladipo, Robinson, Teubner, I think you lock them in as your safeties right now.
All right, what do you guys think on that? Text us, let us know. And what are your emotions? Aaron Rodgers to the Jets? Possibly. What does that do for you as an NFL fan or someone who follows the NFL? Give us some storylines on that sucker. It's Prater in the Ball Game. We're Idaho Sports Talk. Give us a quick second on KTIK.